All right, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Michael Frison. I'm the head professor here at the training camp / Autos Denver.
All right. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up actually in a place called Bellingham, Washington. It's about an hour and a half north of Seattle, maybe 10 or 15 minutes south of the Canadian border in Washington State.
Okay. When did you first start doing martial arts? What age were you?
I started off in karate at 14. Karate in Japanese jiu-jitsu at age 14.
Okay. What made you first start taking martial arts when you were that age?
You know, that's a good question. I really just liked martial arts from the time I was a little kid. Like Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, those guys were my heroes. And so I always wanted to do martial arts, and actually my parents couldn't afford it. And so when I was like 14, I started like mowing lawns and saving up money and paid for my own martial arts.
That's awesome. Now, when you started doing martial arts at 14, what was it like learning at those schools, and what were they like really teaching you?
Man, that's a great question. That was way before the UFC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this would have been, gosh, I don't know, 1990, something like that. So this is before the UFC ever hit. No one knew what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was. No one knew what Muay Thai was. No one knew what any of that mixed martial arts was. So back then it was traditional martial arts. It was either karate or kung fu or taekwondo or whatever. They taught typically one style. I was fortunate enough. I had one of the few schools probably that taught multiple styles. So I got a little bit of the ground, even though it was basic, for like the Japanese jiu-jitsu and the karate for the stand-up. So.
Now, next question is, did you ever, as a kid growing up, after you started learning martial arts, especially let's say when you got to college, did you ever have to use martial arts for self-defense? And did it ever increase aggression in you when you were like younger,
So that's a lot of questions.
I'm sorry.
It's multi-layered. That's good. No, that's great. That's great. So I guess I'll answer the first question first. I did have to use it actually once to defend myself. A couple times to defend myself, but once it was like a life-threatening situation. So I was actually out camping and was in the Olympic National Forest. We had base camp down here, and we wanted to hike up to kind of this mountain, lake.
Hold on, this situation is at a mountain camping. Most people would expect like a bar or something like this. This is awesome because most of the time, this is showing that martial arts can be used in all types of situations.
It was the last place I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Honestly, and for me, I'm an outdoors guy. I camp a lot, I hike a lot, I do a lot of outdoors activities, and that's kind of like my safe zone. You know what I mean? That's where I feel comfortable, I feel safe. Most people out there kind of have a similar philosophy, and you just leave your tents and things and belongings, and it's kind of one of those unsaid rules. You don't mess with people's stuff.
Yeah.
And but this time that wasn't the case. And so what happened was, so we base camped, we put up all our tents. There were it was 3 couples, me and my girlfriend at the time, her brother and wife, and then another couple, and 2 of my friends. And so anyway, we base camped, put all our stuff up, our sleeping bags, our tents, everything, and then we hiked a couple miles up into this lake. Beautiful, had a great time. Came back down, and first thing I noticed, my tent was open, and I never leave my tent open. I'm really conscious of those things. So I was like, that's odd. I go, okay, maybe my girlfriend or something did it. So I look in there, everything's gone. My backpack's gone, my sleeping bag's gone, food, the whole deal, right? So we end up looking around, can't find our stuff, but there's some suspicious guys. They're probably early 20s, about 6 or 7 of them. So long story short, we end up finding out they're the ones that stole our stuff. They hid our stuff in the woods. We found it. A lot of the guys had left, and they went to go do something else. I don't know where they went, and only one guy was left, luckily. And so, but he had 5 or 6 buddies. I think they're at the hot springs, actually. And so I found him in the woods, and I saw like a camouflage duffel bag underneath his feet. I go, what's that under your feet? He goes, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I didn't even see that there. and it was, a foot from him. And I go, hey man, I go, come clean. I go, just let me know what you did. And I go, I'll just take my stuff back, we're good to go. So he grabbed me and he took a swing. And so I ducked it, I bob and weaved it, and then I drill through him. And then immediately mounted him and hit him with some strikes, some punches, some elbows, and, ended up ending the confrontation. And later on, I actually found out I broke his jaw in 2 places and his nose. But
that's perfectly fine.
I didn't find it out until later. So pulled him up and I said, hey, where's the rest of our stuff? Because not all of it was in there. So we go to this, back to the campground. At this time, everyone else had shown up. None of them know how to fight, by the way.
Yeah.
So now it's me basically with like 4 liabilities, right? And so so they all show up. We go back to the campground. Hey, where's the rest of our stuff? He goes, oh, well, maybe it's in my tent. I go, oh, okay. So he takes off running towards his tent. So my buddy ends up tackling him. They get into a scrap, but my buddy's losing control. So I have to run over, and I end up, taking care of it. Right? Ended up actually putting my foot on his neck, and I held him down, and made sure it was okay. So, so I go and I look in the guy's tent, and there's 2 things in there: the guy's sleeping bag and a hatchet. So I think he was going for the hatchet, right?
Definitely going for the
weapon. So
weapon.
I go, hey, I go, do you have any more weapons on you? I go, what's going on? Oh, no, I don't have any more weapons. And I go, I'm going to search you anyway. So I threw him up against a tree. I patted him down. He's got a big, giant Bowie knife that he's hiding. So I take that off him. So I mean, the situation could have gotten serious really quickly. So at this point now, I'm thinking I have 4 liabilities, basically. He's got 5 or 6 friends a couple hundred yards away at the hot springs. And I go, at any minute, these guys are going to come back. So, long story short, I ended up taking him down off the mountain. I actually took him with me and, gave him over to the Rangers and reported him and stuff like that. And as we were there, all of his friends got into the truck and they actually ended up escaping. I told the Rangers that they were going to come down and, I should set up some kind of stopping, I don't know what they could do, but, somehow deter them from leaving, lock a gate, something like that. But they didn't. So all of his friends ended up getting in the truck, and we saw him zoom by, doing about 70 miles an hour, escaping. But we got the one guy, and ended up apprehending him. So.
Did you end up getting all your stuff back?
No, we never did. We got some of it back, but like I said, not all of it was in that bag. So I don't know what they'd done with it. I don't know if they had hidden it in multiple caches or what, but didn't get it back. But thank God, the training saved my life, and probably saved everyone else's life too. Because if you would have been able to get a hold of that hatchet, or the knife, or take me out on the first run, who knows what would have happened. And then if we wouldn't have ended up leaving after that, I would have had taken on 5, 6 guys, and that would have been a different situation. So.
Now that's a really high stress situation. What prepared you for that through martial arts, and did you do competition before this happened? And do you feel like competition was probably a helping factor in you being so prepared and cool-headed for the situation?
Yeah, I was fine. It was funny because actually all the Rangers and stuff were asking me, oh, what happened, and this and that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I mean, the guy attacked me. I just took care of it. I was fine. It was actually almost too cool. If I would have done it again, I would have been, maybe not as cool. But yeah, I would say comp helps a lot. I mean, I'd done lots of competition before then, multiple, fights, tournaments in jiu-jitsu, 3 MMA fights, a lot of training. I was training for a Muay Thai fight, broke my ankle, so I didn't get to do that. But I'd done a lot of comp before then, and a lot of training, a lot of hard sparring. And to me, it was. I mean, I honestly didn't even think about it. As soon he grabbed me, he took that punch, and all I knew is next thing. And literally, all I knew was, until I played it back in my head later, was he was on the ground, I was mounted, and I was hitting him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I replayed it back, and, I bob and weave that one, I elbow catched, and then I judo tossed him, right? And I didn't even think about it. Like, as soon as he grabbed me, and it was just automatic muscle memory. And so, I think it's just the hours and hours of repetition where, the thought process doesn't have to happen, but your body just takes over,
Now, that's a really good example of how martial arts has helped you in a situation, but have you ever been in a situation where you ever used martial arts and then you regretted doing it?
No, not that I can think of. No.
Now, would that attribute to your teaching at like a younger age? Like, did they teach you philosophical and like moral standards to go along and responsibilities with your martial arts?
Yeah, and I think that's what's different about kind of like our school versus a lot of other MMA schools is I love MMA because it's the highest level.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to kill someone, it's the highest level of the sport you can get without killing someone,
Yeah.
right? I mean, the highest level of striking, the highest level of takedowns, the highest level of submissions. Minus unless you're killing someone. I mean, it's literally the highest level of martial arts, in my opinion, in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of MMA schools, they're knuckleheads, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all like,
Yeah.
tough guy, and I know, like, first MMA school I went to, like, first thing it did is, like, kick me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, okay, first day, let's spar, boom,
similar
head kick.
Similar
and,
experience
and I
for
think
myself.
the instructor thought, oh man, if I kick this guy right in the face as hard as I can, like, he's gonna really know how good we are and come back and train more. And a lot of guys are knuckleheads in MMA. We kind of take like more of the traditional philosophy of the martial arts, like character development and self-discipline and stuff like that. But we teach legit stuff, So we teach MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, and for me, I think that kind of came from my traditional background a little bit, and then I've just been lucky to have good instructors, and so that's kind of taught with the stuff, and that's how I was taught. So that's kind of how I like to teach. And, I knew too if I ever got in trouble, like my career was over.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you are at the level that I'm at and you're a pro fighter or anything like that, like, if you really hurt someone, like, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
And you can go to jail, especially these days anyway, just for like assault or whatever, even if you have no training. But then if you have training on top of that, like, it's compounded. And so, no, I wouldn't say, I'd say it's gotten me out a lot of stuff. And honestly, I think it gives me the confidence, especially being a little dude. Like, I was always picked on, stuff like that, and it's funny because all my friends are big, but none of them train.
Yeah.
So I have to protect them. So it's really funny because it's like 6'3", 6'2", and then they see me. So all of my friends, they go, and they always do right. So they always try to pick on me, like if I'm at a bar or whatever, and all my friends start giggling because they know, like, I'm the worst guy to pick on, right? But I look like the little guy. So I'd say if anything, but that allows me, rather than use ego and be like, oh man, okay, I'm going to show you. I just go, hey, it's cool, man, you're right, this, that, and the other thing. And so I can just kind of step back and, unless they really, really initiate something physical, like, I can just let it go, and it's not going to hurt my ego. Like, they call me a pansy. I'm like, oh, you're right, I'm a pansy. Have a good day. You know what I mean?
That's really great. Like, I love martial arts for that reason. Now, with your school, how many would you say? What are the age groups that you currently teach here?
Yeah, what we teach is youngest 3,
Okay.
all the way to, I think our oldest member is like 70. So we have everything in between.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. Now, with the kids' martial arts, when you train them here, are they always maintained? Like, how do you instill those philosophies and morals in the kids so they know not to use these tactics for, let's say, underhand reasons?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's all built into the program. With the children especially, it's very, very specific. So they can actually earn stripes for things like helping out their parents, doing household chores, getting good grades, respecting their peers. They can get a black stripe for their actual technique. So it's built into the program, so it's not really guesswork. And every week we have a specific mat chat. And so that time, we'll sit the kids down, and the mat chat might be about, hey, something as simple as not quitting martial arts. Why? So you can become a black belt. But it could also be something a little bit more, serious and something more character developing, like, hey, what is bullying? What is being a bully? And what do you do when you get bullied? So all those things are generally the reason why kids get into confrontations. Unless a kid is really, really mean-spirited, they don't just go and punch someone, right?
Yeah.
Usually there's something that happens, they're getting bullied, or somehow that gets reversed, they become a bully, and usually that's the situation. And so, again, like they say, prevention is the best medicine, right? So what we do is the whole time, from the minute they start the program as a white belt, all the way until they become a black belt, they're getting these mat chats, and they're also getting rewarded for good behavior, so the discipline, the respect, the household chores, and a lot of that goes a long ways, just towards making a good person. And I think, like good people, they don't really get in confrontations, and we talk about that a lot in class.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel martial arts should be, especially for kids. hold on, let me look through my questions here because I've been just kind of feeding off of you for a minute
Cool.
without even looking. Um, Now, would you attribute martial arts for like your current like hardworking ethic and your success in life currently?
Oh man, yeah, martial arts just changed my life. You know, I mean, I didn't have like a very good father figure. I didn't really have like a mentor, and my first mentor came through martial arts. His name is Dave Toney. He wasn't like the head instructor of the school, but he was kind of like the second guy in command, so to speak. And he was just a great guy. He was a stand-up guy. He was self-disciplined. He was a great athlete. He had all the attributes that someone could look at, as a youth and kind of mimic, and be a mentor to me. And so one of the things that he was hardworking. And he talked a lot about that, whether it comes to competition, training hard, putting in your rounds, doing all the stuff that you need to do to become a champion, right? Have a championship attitude. And the biggest thing with that is like hard work. And so that's kind of what started, I would say the journey. And then, from there I just like, something just changed in me. And I was like, hey man, this is what I want. And we also talked a lot about goal setting, and goal setting is so important in society. And I don't want to get too far out there, but,
Yeah.
It's so important. I mean, they only say, I think like less than 10% of people actually write down their goals.
I actually currently have a list of goals on my wall right now.
Yeah, and of course, books like Napoleon Hill and Zig Ziglar and stuff like that, and he was the one that referred me to a lot of this stuff, because he was a really successful guy too, and successful martial arts, but successful in life and business, stuff like that. And so he gave me a lot of these things to read, talked about these people, influenced me, and through all that, I had a good work ethic. Training, I think, is where it started. And then, that translated to college, and then, that translates now to owning my own business.
Yeah, because I train at your school, and it's like whenever I'm here, you're working constantly, and and it's just like it's really cool to see like how martial arts I feel like has given you that, and how you apply your hard working in martial arts to everything you do now in life.
I think. I think that's where it started, and then it just kind of progressed from there with good mentors and listening to the right people.
Now, from your own experience, how can martial arts be taught in a way where it could be destructive to someone, and like go over like a bad environment for me, let's say at a gym?
Yeah, well, you guys all seen Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Right, Cobra Kai.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It all comes from the top down. I really truly believe that, because I've been in a lot of toxic schools, where the top person is just negative. They use negative reinforcement. They yell a lot, and there's a time to yell, right? I mean, there's time. There's time for that. But most of it needs to be positive. It needs to be positive reinforcement. And I've also been in schools where the guy, the top leader leads like a bad lifestyle. Like they're out at the bar drinking all the time. They're getting in fights. They say lewd things. They say racial comments. They say sexist comments. You know what I mean? And if that happens from the top, it's going to go all the way down, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it really just comes from the top down. And if you have a positive, leader that has good character and that's teaching those skills and that walks the walk, so to speak, rather than just talk the talk, then I think you're going to get good students, And we have guys that come in and they're knuckleheads and they just don't last too long.
Yeah.
And so, I'd say that's the biggest thing.
Now, do you ever feel like, let's say you go to one of those schools and they have like a kids class or something like that, do you ever feel like there should be some way like that person should not be allowed to be teaching those kids or something like that? You think there should be like a regulation to that or anything like that?
So so like I was saying, so I'm a kind of an anti-regulation guy. So as far as like an actual regulatory body that would say this person can teach and this person can't teach, I don't think I'd go for that. But I think there should be some kind of a regulatory body that obviously governs if people are legitimate instructors. So what their lineage is.
Checking black belts.
Yeah,
and
checking
that sort of
black belts, stuff like that. But as far as regulating who can teach and who can't teach, I think it kind of violates some amendments, and some of our rights as Americans. But I think the consumer really needs to be careful to try the class out, to check and see, if the instructor, is teaching what they want their kids to learn, and so hopefully the consumers will make good choices.
Okay. Now, what would you give advice to somebody who's like afraid to get on the mats and has never got on there before? What would you tell them to encourage them to go out there and do martial arts?
Do it. I think that martial arts is one of the best, healthiest, most positive things I've ever done for sure. It's changed my life, 100%. I'm not the person that I would be. I was a shy kid. I was super, super shy, actually. This is a true story. So the first time I went and I did my first karate tournament, I couldn't even write my own name. I was so nervous. I couldn't write my own name, and my instructor, Sensei Tony, I grabbed the pen out of my hand. He goes, "I'll write it for you, Mike." And then I did great. I think I took first in the tournament. But I was a shy kid. Same thing with speeches and things like that. Like if you asked me to do a public speech, I remember I did one on Abraham Lincoln, and I literally I couldn't even read my paper. I was shaking so bad, the paper was moving.
That's
and
wild because you're not.
No.
You teach classes every day. Yeah.
And people wouldn't think of me as a shy guy. I don't think they would describe me as but I actually am. It's just funny. And I'm kind of a loner, actually. I'm one of those people that really, I live kind of a secluded life. I'm kind of a, loner person. I have, only a couple of really close friends. But I couldn't even do any kind of public speaking, all the way up to high school. And then I got into martial arts, and part of, doing it is you end up assistant teaching, and then, actually teaching. You have to give presentations. You have to speak in front of a group. And now, I've done seminars in front of 100, 150 people, and I'm 100% comfortable. So it gave me the confidence that I have now, and gave me the work ethic that I have now. But even if you didn't take it to the level that I did, I think for everyone, whether it's mental or physical, losing a couple pounds, learning a couple self-defense skills, I think it's great for kids especially. Because kids these days, they're super plugged in, right? They're always on their iPad or their iPod or I don't know, whatever they have these days, right? Their PlayStation, and they don't get to interact with the world like I did. I remember for me, literally the moment I got home, off school, I was on my BMX and I was gone, right? And the street lights turned off, it was dark, that's when I came home. And kids these days, they don't get out of their own head, they don't get out of their little, whatever their electronic device is. And so I think martial arts is really good because it forces them to interact with other children. They get physical contact, which a lot don't get these days.
Yeah.
They're rolling around, they get healthy competition. So I think it's great, especially for children. But it's good for everyone, man. And even if you do it for a month, or if you do it like me, your whole life, I think, it's gonna give you a benefit for sure.
I just have a few more questions, but that was going to be the ending one, but...
did I skip it?
No, you're fine. You're good. No, keep going. But how many different martial arts have you trained over the years? And what is your total, years of martial arts, training, and, just go over that with us.
Yeah, a long time, man. A long time. It's funny because, some people find something, whatever they're good at, math or writing. I found martial arts, and that's literally what I dedicated my entire life to. It was funny. I was actually a pretty good student somehow. I have a good memory. So in college, I was a 4.0 student. I ended up getting top 3% in my university. Okay, but the whole time while the professor thought I was sitting there taking notes, I was writing martial arts moves. Okay, arm bar. I can go arm bar to omoplata. Okay, if I fail to omoplata, I can swing back to triangle. That's what I did all day, every day in class. Through junior high, through high school, through college. That's all I did. And that's all I thought about. And that's all I trained after class, before class, on weekends. And so I just dedicated my entire life to it. Literally, that's all I've done, And so I've got a black belt in karate, in Japanese jiu-jitsu. I have a couple lower belts in some of the other Japanese arts. I've got an instructor level, which would be a black belt level in Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's martial art, Filipino Kali Eskrima, Indonesian Silat, an instructor level in Jeet Kune Do, if I didn't mention that one yet. I'm an instructor level in combat submission wrestling, which is Eric Paulson's mixture of martial arts. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a black project, which would be like a black belt level in Muay Thai. So I don't know how many that is.
Yeah, that's a lot of credentials right there.
So it's been about 25 years.
25 years in martial arts?
For 25 years, yeah. A little more than 25 years.
That's really awesome, because a lot of people go their whole lives without finding something they love.
Yeah.
And how has that helped you as a person, finding something that you love so much in life? Yeah.
Yeah, it's it, man. It's my calling. It really was. And I know it sounds silly or whatever. But that's I just wasn't good at a lot of things, I guess. But I was really good at martial arts. And I loved it. And I even at one point didn't want to do it as a business because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't want to confuse my passion, with my income. But then I realized, man, why am I doing something else? Because I was actually going to be a professor in college.
Yeah.
I was going into grad school. I was actually published. I was doing research. I was like a neuropsych guy. I was doing, putting little electrodes in rats' brains and hitting them with cocaine to see how they'd respond, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then, I was doing both, and I realized, man, why am I doing this? This is cool, but martial arts is way cooler,
Yeah.
right? And that's my real passion. And I'm like, why can't I do both? Why can't I make it my living? And if I do, I can just pass it on to more people.
Mm-hmm.
I can help more people. I can give more people what I've gotten out of it, which is life-changing. And so I just made that decision and switched and gave up school, quit school. I graduated with my bachelor's, but I didn't pursue the higher level stuff. And just decided this is what I was going to do, man. And here we are.
What would you say to, not just somebody who's looking to do martial arts, but parents that are worried about their kids getting into martial arts?
Man, it's the best. It saved my life. It made me a more confident person. It made me more secure in myself. Being a little guy, you know what I mean? I'm only 5'6", 5'7", 150 pounds maybe. Probably in high school I was 120, I don't know, I was a little dude. And I got picked on a lot until I got into martial arts. And then as soon as that happened, it was funny, people didn't mess with them anymore. And I don't know if it was the way I walked, the way I talked, my confidence level. I don't know if it was the word got around school, But even now, even people that don't know, that I'm a black belt and stuff like that, and if they, like at a bar or something like that, right? And, I don't go out very often, but if I do, I'm the smallest dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if someone's going to pick on someone, it's going to be me. But it lets me get out of confrontations, because I have the confidence to, say, hey, man, that's right.
Yeah.
It's right. You know what I mean? I am a pansy. Have a good day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. I believe every martial arts artist should be able to do that, especially in confrontation.
Yeah, so I think for kids, it's phenomenal as far as giving them the confidence to, not have to use their skills unless it's 100% necessary.
Yeah, that's. I guess that's all I have for you. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for being a great student, brother.